Personal story segment tonight. Dr. Ben Carson is now quoted as saying he may have a calling to run for president of the United States. He said that on the Christian Broadcasting Network. Dr. Carson joins us now from Boynton Beach, Florida. Is that quote true, Doctor?
Well, there's no question that I'm getting a lot of indications that this is something that I should consider very seriously. Enormous crowds every place I go. People coming up to me at train stations and airplanes, every place I go, saying, you have to do this. So I'm listening very carefully. I have a surgical personality, and I evaluate carefully.
All right. Now, you know why they're coming up to you, don't you?
No, tell me why.
Because you're on a factor, because you're on this program. That's what happens there.
I should have known that.
I mean, they go up to Miller and Bernie Goldberg and everything. They go up to Megyn Kelly. I mean, that's why. No. But, I mean, again, I think if you do it, you got to kind of get out front, and we'll talk about that. But let's say that you were president of the United States. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, and I do fully recognize that I represent a great threat to a lot of what the left represents, and that they will come after me with everything they can. I understand that.
Well,
now, what would I
if they do it, yeah. Well, let me pose a question, but I'll assure you, if they come after you in an unfair way, we will step up and help you out with that. Now, so you are president,
sounds good.
Okay, and there's no doubt that the Republican House delayed immigration reform, and Boehner is a pretty hard guy. He doesn't seem to be a bender or compromiser. What would you do to try to get some kind of fair deal going?
Well, first I would recognize that there are millions of Americans in inner cities, Appalachia, countryside, very poor, very desperate. Why don't we extend some help to those people? Why don't we start looking at ways that we can get them into a better situation to move up in our society? That would be number one. Number two, as far as the immigrants are concerned, we need to do a couple of things. We need to reverse the polarity of the magnet that is attracting them. So you get rid of all the various benefits that are pulling them in here, and you have to secure the border. Those are essential things to do. And if you don't do both of them, it's simply not going to work. And then the other thing we have to recognize is that there are a lot of people here illegally who are doing jobs that a lot of our people don't want to do. And we need to have them involved in a guest worker type program. That way, so they can pay taxes.
You sound like almost like me in the sense that we could work it out. We could work it out. And that's what I think President Obama should have at least given them a chance to do that before this constitutional deal.
And that's what happened with the health care thing. That's what happened with health care. They shoved it through. They didn't want to talk, and it just created animosity, and that's what this is going to do.
Absolutely. And President Obama is going to go down as one of the most divisive presidents in the history of this country. And that's absolutely what's going to happen. Okay, now let's shift over to Missouri. There's a report today that the attorneys for the police officer, Darren Wilson, do not believe he is going to be indicted by the grand jury. And that is leaked out. It's a self-defense play. They believe that there's evidence to show that the officer was under assault or whatever. If that is the case, it's speculation, and, it could get pretty nasty out there. How would you calm things down?
Well, I would love to see someone talking to the populace there, helping them to recognize that there are a lot of outside agitators who are coming in, who are riling them up. And what are going to be the consequences? The militarization of the police, not only in Ferguson, but in other places. Now, what does that happen? What happens with that? When you start rioting, police are militarized, people die. This is not going to work out. There are much better ways, if you feel that an injustice has been perpetrated, to get it taken care of. We have a good legal system here, and you can challenge it. So
but they don't believe it. The agitators and some African Americans say the fix is in because of our skin color. We're never going to get a fair shot. You know they are saying that.
They just need to think about this logically. Who's going to wind up being hurt? Who's going to wind up being killed? Just you know, fast forward a little bit and think about this. And let's think about it in a logical way.
We might want to point out that Michael Brown's father did appeal for calm and peace, and we admire Mr. Brown's stance on that.
Very much so. Absolutely.
Thanks very much, as always, for coming on. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along tonight from Boston. Al Michaels, a friend of O.J. Simpson's, was involved in that murder case. He'll tell us what happened. Then Gutfellow McGurk on why the USA is such a divided nation. Well, hope you stay tuned for those reports.